Hi, Catherine. It's Stephanie Wickman. I just made you a co-host. So
Hi, Steph. Thanks.
awesome. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's good to hear you. Oh, wow. We have
And I
people
can
already.
see you too, and there's people joining in on the session. We all want to learn how to be more efficient with our Outlook day.
Awesome. I get a ton
You
of
should be able
email.
to share your screen and get anything set up that you need to do. So
Sure. And I'm actually using my real email. I don't have a presentation. We're going.
you're going like real. You're letting us into your
Real.
email life.
I do have guides I'm going to send you guys, or that I am sending to the ELC. See.
Got it.
Let me see if I can just do my.
I just want to check with you that you're comfortable in the session recording today.
Yes,
Is that
that's
okay
fine.
with you? All right, wonderful.
Okay.
Is it snowing in your part of the lovely state of Colorado?
It is. I'm in Northeast Denver, right up by DIA, and it's been snowing all day.
Okay. Yeah, I live up in Loveland and it's pretty snowy out there. So
Awesome. My husband works in Louisville and he's essential. So he's in Louisville right now and says it's a lot worse there than it was when he left here.
okay. You will have an exciting drive home from work today then.
I know. He said he's going to come early, but we'll see. This is my husband's office since we're all doing this from home. He's an aerospace engineer, if you can't tell with all the planes.
Okay. I did see the plane in the background before, so awesome.
Yes. Oh. Well, yay.
And hello to all of our
today
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking today how lucky it was that we ended up being online, like before it was cool.
Very true, right? So we have I think lots of attendees from all over the country joining for the eLearning Consortium of Colorado virtual conference this year. This is the first time the organization has held a virtual conference, which I think is going amazing. And there's Kristen Rivedahl. She's the one that I think she's the technology lead for this conference. But there's a little bit of weather-related history with this conference that you should know about, because typically it seems to snow copious amounts when they host this conference at the same time in April every year, and it's usually hosted up in the mountains at Breckenridge Ski Resort over the last couple of years. So it's interesting that it's snowing on Thursday, because that's typically the day it always snows at the conference as well. So from wherever you are joining us from, we are so happy that you are here to take part.
Yes, hello. I see a few familiar faces and some I don't know. And at 3, I'll start the whole introduction process, but a couple minutes.
Wonderful.
Hi, Kristen. Good to see you.
Vicki is joining us from Knoxville, Tennessee. That is where she hails from. Hello from Tennessee.
So the URL I just threw in the chat, and you'd have to copy and paste it into a browser, is a webcam from the conference, from the top of the conference hotel where we normally hold our conference. That is from Beaver Run Hotel, our Beaver Run Resort. And it is, there's a lot of fresh powder.
Wow.
But no skiing. We're all closed here, just like we are everywhere else across the country.
Absolutely, yeah. That was one of the first areas we had a big outbreak, was up in that county. We had a person in the keynote this morning who was from Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
So we've gone international.
They win the furthest away award, I think.
I think that would be true. And it was clear that they were joining from a cell phone. So, let's be grateful for mobile technology.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that we'd already planned to do this online.
Fortuitous, totally fortuitous.
Exactly. We were just ahead of the curve. We knew something was up. We were ready.
Trust me, I'd have been warning a whole lot of people if I'd known.
Oh, I know. This is such a mess, but I'm glad we're still able to have the conference.
Yes. 63 degrees in Tennessee. That sounds lovely.
That does
That
sound
sounds
nice.
glorious, Vicki. It's been kind of up and down here in the Denver area. Like, it was really nice last week, and then it started snowing, and then it was kind of nice, and now it's snowing again.
That is springtime here in our region, though. 80 to 20 overnight, right? And snow on the ground is not uncommon.
Yeah, we've got a high of 30 degrees today. I'm trying to look. I was looking at this. 50 tomorrow. By next Monday, we're up in the 60s again.
Yep, it's springtime. Well, hi, Lynn. I love your background. I thought of trying to do something fancy, but I'm like, I need to not have anything break while I'm actually doing something.
Well, it's really fun. Kristen and Catherine and I are all part of the Colorado Community College system. We work at different institutions, but Zoom is not our primary platform that we use. We use Webex, so it's neat to use a different tool. And where is that button I'm looking for, right? I know it's here, it's just called something different. So it's neat to see a different tool. I've had so many questions. Can I set a custom background in Webex? And oh no, you cannot have a quarantine zombie outbreak background like Len has. So you've got to clean up your office a little bit, right?
We should pitch for Zoom just using that argument, no other. Like, I have to clean my office. We need Zoom. Yeah, it's cool to see different tools. So almost time. I'm a start on time, end on time kind of person, and I have a bunch. We'll just see how many we get through and how many questions we have. But we'll get started soon, and it's 3. So I'm Catherine Zoerb. I teach at I don't teach. I'm the D2L administrator at the Community College of Aurora, which is in Aurora, Colorado, which is the Denver area. Just like Kristen and Stephanie, we're all the colleges are tied together, so it's really fun because we get to bounce ideas off each other all the time. And today I'm here to talk about email, because I bet that you guys all get a lot of email, right? And pretend that I just got a resounding yes, we're just drowning in email, especially right now. Like, this is such an overwhelming time when it comes to email, I think. So I'm glad I know some of these tricks and can share them with you. And I will be sending guides. I'm just live doing this, showing you things straight through. I don't have an actual presentation, but I'm going to send out guides with the ELCC stuff. So you should have guides to everything I show you today at the end of this presentation, or whenever they send out here's the content stuff. All right, let's get started. Can everyone see my Outlook? Yes, okay, good. So yes. I shared that correctly. Yes, this is my actual Outlook. One of the first things I do when I start a job or I start with Outlook is I turn off all the sounds, because I don't know about you, but I get really distracted if I have pop-ups or dinging or things all day. I would never get anything done if I stopped every time I had an email. And there's actually a lot of research on that, on how long it takes you to get back to your task if you are disrupted in some way. So I learned to turn off the sounds, and that's really simple. Oh, I am going to mention, this somehow didn't make it in the description, but I'm talking about Outlook that you get from your desktop, not the OWA internet-based one. You can do some of this from that. Some of it you can't. It's just a little lighter, or I don't know how to do it, one or the other. So I'm talking about the desktop version. All right, so to turn off all the dinging and pop-ups and sounds, you go to File, and File is an excellent place to be. They have lots of really cool stuff. And you go to Options, which is in the lower left. I'll just be slow. Oops. Oh, did I freeze? And it will bring up a box like this. And okay, can everybody see a box of stuff? I want to make sure that it's not just showing my straight up email. Okay, great. Thanks. I got some nods. Perfect. So there's a lot of things you can do with this, but we're ignoring everything right now except Mail, which is, oops, slow down. Oops. Options, Mail. Mail's in this area here. And there's a lot of things I'm going to ignore. There's so much you can do with Outlook. Like, I could probably talk for 3 days and never stop about things you can do in Outlook. Something that's default usually is play a sound when you scroll down, this message arrival. So I turn that off. by unchecking it. You'll notice it was unchecked when I went to it because I just don't like being interrupted a lot. And a lot of times the desktop alert is done by default. So if you turn those off, you'll stop getting those pop-ups and those sounds, which will help you keep a little bit of focus. All right. You notice I did get a pop-up possibly while I was talking about that, and I'll tell you why in a moment, because we're going to talk about rules. I get a ton of email, as I'm sure a lot of you do, and a lot of it is the same type of stuff that I don't necessarily need in my inbox. Like I get a report every single day about every single event that's happening on campus, and it has like the room number and all that stuff, but most of the time I don't really need that. So I've created a rule to filter out that particular email into a special inbox or special folder. So in case I need it, I can go do it and look at it. But if I don't, and that's 98% of the time, then it just goes to that particular folder. So it doesn't clutter up my inbox, which is already overwhelming. I also set up folders for like my boss, who I really want to make sure I answer really quickly, or for somebody like Kristen, who I email Kristen a lot saying, I don't know what I just broke, but can you help me fix it? Thanks, Kristen. So I know when she sent that. And then I belong to a lot of listservs and mailing groups, so I have folders for all of those. And I sort things through rules. So let me make sure that that's, so my sharing's paused. All right. So to set up a rule, like you see I have all these folders now, but you can set them up in the rules. There's two ways to do rules. You can do it from up in the ribbon, which is under the Home tab, or you can do it straight from the email, and I'm going to show you both ways. So to do it from the rules, you click on Rules and click on Create Rule. And it's just highlighted the first one from somebody talking to me about a specific link in D2L, but it will ask different things, like, do you want to filter it based on who it's from? Do you want to filter it based on the subject, which can be really great if you're on a committee and you're getting 500 emails from 20 different people that all start with new OER initiative. Do you want to do it based on who it's sent to you? Do you want to do it based on all of that? So I am going to do it by subject because I'm getting a lot about Navigate, which is a program that's being used at my school that a lot of things are coming down. And you can do it. It doesn't have to be the exact terms. Like if I want anything from Navigate that has the word Navigate in it to go to this new folder, then I can just take out the rest of it and it should do that because it's subject contains, not subject is exactly, it's subject contains. And you can just go here and say move the item to a specific folder, and if you already have it designed, you can just click on it, or you can create a new one if you don't. But I actually don't do that. I go to the advanced options because I'm really picky. So we already have a thing with the subject line in it with Navigate in the subject, but there's a lot of other things you could do. So I could do this from Ray Keith with Navigate in the subject, that also went to these other people through a specified account. Sent holding to me is one I use a lot. With specific words in the body, with specific words in the message header, with specific words in the recipient's address. You can really drill down if you want. I'm not going to go that detailed, but it's good to look at these things and see all the different possibilities you can do based on these different options. So I'm going to go next. And then the first one is, what condition is it? Like, what about this email do you want us to look for? The second one is, what do you want us to do with this email when something with this condition comes in? So I want to move it to a specified folder. Here's some other options. Again, you can get really detailed. I can delete it. So if you never want to get an email from your vet again or something, you can delete it, permanently delete it so you never have to see it. You can move a copy to the specified folder, so it's still in your inbox, but a copy also goes there. You can, if you are in a role where other people need to see things and you don't want to spend your life forwarding it, you can redirect certain things to groups or specific people, so that's pretty handy. You can flag the message, you can add categories or clear the categories. You can play a sound if you want to. So I showed you when we first logged on, like how I turn sounds and pop-ups off because I don't like them, but I do sounds and pop-ups for specific people. For example, my boss, I want to make sure I'm responding to him very quickly. Or if I know I'm waiting for somebody to get back to me on something that's very time sensitive, a lot of times I'll go in, make a quick rule and make a sound for that specific person or that specific subject. Just so I make sure that I notice it. And that way I'm not being distracted constantly by sounds and pop-ups, but I'm still noticing when things that are really important for me are showing up. You can mark it as read, which I'll do sometimes for like that list I mentioned at the beginning. I rarely need to know what's going on campus that day, so I mark it as read so I don't see that I have all this email in that box, because I know I have email in that box. I'll just know, I'll check if I need to. You can also display a specific message, which is kind of fun, so let's do that just for fun. You know, those pop-ups you get. There's a lot you can do. So if I try to click next, it's not going to let me because I haven't set the values. So I said I want to display a specific message and I want to move it to a specified folder. So what specific message do I want? I'm going to say navigate alert. But you can say whatever. So you know, you put a cute message in there if you want. And I want to move it to a specified folder, and I don't have a folder there yet for navigate, so I'm clicking new. I'm going to call it navigate. And okay, so that folder exists now. I'm putting it there. Okay. Now that those things are there, it will let me move to next. And you can add exceptions, which is also nice. So I want all that navigate stuff to come in unless it contains specific words or it came from a specified account. Here's another one I use a lot, except if it's sent only to me. So I'm actually going to check that one. I imagine a lot of you are probably on a lot of group emails, and maybe you'll get a specific thing that your boss or somebody will want you to do, and they'll email just you. If you want to, you can keep that from going into your main folder, and I do that a lot just because I'm on so many lists. They have important sensitivity action where my name's in the CC box. Like you can go through and look at all these and think of all the many ways you can utilize these exceptions, except if it's an automatic reply too, especially now since everybody, at least at our institution, is working from home. A lot of us have automatic replies set up. Like I'm working remotely, I have 7 kids, I'll get to you when I can, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's nice to filter that out. You could even do it in specific date spans or specific form types if you're using forms at your school. I haven't gotten that fancy yet. Okay, so right now I'm not doing any exceptions except if it's sent only to me. So right now, when a message arrives, it has navigate in the subject, it will display the navigate alert in the window, move it to the folder for me, unless it's sent only to me, and then that's going to go in my inbox. So I'm going to go next. And I'm going to name this rule. And I recommend you really think about what you name things, because if you ever need to edit it, you want to make sure that it makes sense to your brain when you go and look in the editing. So I'm going to call this navigate emails. Yeah. And something you can do as well is run rules on messages already in the inbox. So when I first started using rules, it was really nice because I just had, say, 200 emails I didn't want to deal with. As I started doing rules, I would run them, and then a whole bunch of things would move out of my inbox, and it was nice. So I'm turning it on. I'm running the rules. Let's see what moves. So we see that some emails, oops, have moved over to navigate. You see the number 1. So it looks like I only had 1 with that in there. And now when I want to go to the navigate emails, I just check that folder. They are there. So there's 1 unread one, but it pulled 3 emails over. All right, I'm going to check faces, make sure everyone looks okay. We're doing good?
Doing great.
All right. Yeah, it's hard without having the audience right there.
I do have a question for you about rules. Do you ever, so if you set up a lot of rules to keep your mailbox organized, what is your strategy so that you don't miss something that's important to you? Is there like a daily digest of rules, like this many emails came in and they went to this many boxes? Like, how do you stay on top of something so that you don't accidentally miss it? Maybe it wasn't directly to you, but there was a question directly for you in there, like in that kind of scenario.
So I still do check all my email. Some of it never has a question to me. So this is that daily facilities list I mentioned, where it's literally just, this is what's happening on campus. But I do actually go check. I just prioritize things. So I have my inbox, which is just whatever shows up. And then I have specific, I think Kristen has one. Yes, she does. Different emails like this one. I moved here from I moved over to CCA from UNC in Greeley. And for a while I was getting email from my former coworkers saying, hey, where's file, whatever, what. You just have to remember to go check, and that is important. So some people have that shut. I don't recommend having this menu shut. If you're using this method, keep that open, pin it open, and make sure you're actually going in and looking.
Thank you.
And you know, you got to decide if this makes sense for your brain or not. I can't stand, I'd be just overwhelmed with email, so this is important for me. But I've worked with people who are just like, I don't see how I have all these folders, and that's okay too, you know? That is something that doesn't work for everyone. I like it because it's a little easier to search stuff as well, because I know all my emails from Carmen, who's one of my upper level bosses, are in this box right here. So when I go to search, like see how this says search navigate? It will search just that folder, and if I still can't find it, then I can search all Outlook items. Okay. So rules, they're fun, play with them. If you realize you hate them, I'm gonna show you how to take them off. Or if you wanna edit one, you go to home and you go to rules, and rules is up here under the home page. You can manage rules and alerts. And you can do specific ones. You have to go through and check them. And you can change just one thing, or you can delete them. So you can do new rule, you can change a rule, you can copy a rule. So if you have pretty similar things on an old rule, you can copy it. I usually just redo it, or you can delete it. Something else you can do, every now and then, and I don't know why, there's probably some reason that I should know, but I don't, it looks like a rule hasn't run, and I have 10 emails from my OER committee. I go to rules and I click run rules now, and I select them all, and I just run them, and it will put them back in the folders. I don't know why that does that. Okay. You will get a guide on rules, tinker with them, play with them. You're not gonna break it. You can always go fix it. I'm gonna move on to my next favorite trick. Y'all hanging in? And take that as a yes, we're rolling. Okay. So I don't know what your role is at your school. Oops. Let me check this. But my role is D2L administrator, which means I get a lot of D2L questions, and I do some tasks that a lot of different people request at different times that I'm always going to get no matter what. It's so I'm writing the same email a lot. Before I was a D2L administrator, instructional designer, any of that kind of stuff, I was an English professor, and I belonged to a billion committees where you'd have to distribute information. And I've also been an administrative assistant where I was answering all of the same stuff. So I learned to use something called Quick Parts. Has anyone in here heard of Quick Parts? Oops.
Nope.
No. Okay. Quick Parts is my favorite trick because it makes you look like a genius. And I'm especially thankful for it right now. So, Quick Parts. Okay. I'm going to open up a new email, or we're going to pretend somebody wrote me and asked me for something. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this whole COVID thing, nobody's sick in my house. I don't have small children, but it's like my brain is operating on 10% capacity. I don't know why. It's just like the low hum of menace. And when things like this aren't happening, you just get tired of typing the same email again, and sometimes you make dumb mistakes, or you don't want to go take screenshots, or any number of things. So I just use Quick Parts. Quick Parts, I'm trying to get the little Zoom thing to show me my menu. All right, is in the Insert area, and it's called Quick Parts. I'm going to show you another really quick trick that I like to use. I don't like going to all these menus all the time. I like just to have stuff up here. So you can add it.
Seeing your menu, I think you're trying to
show
okay. us. It's stuck just on your main Outlook screen where we're seeing your inbox.
Okay. I wonder if it's because, okay, I'm just going to share my whole desktop because I was wondering if it's saying, okay. I was worried it might do that.
Now I can see it. It's a new email.
Okay, great. So you can do this as a new email, or you can do it in response to somebody. So let's say somebody asked me a question I've gotten a billion times. I was showing you. So you go to Insert to get to Quick Parts. It's something I like to do is add them up to this ribbon up here, so I don't have to go to Insert or Format Text or Review or all these places. If you right click on any of these tools, any of them at all, you can add the Quick Access Toolbar. I already added it, so I don't have that. That's grayed out, and we'll add it up here. So let's say I do a lot of tables, add the Quick Access Toolbar, and then it's up there. So that's just a little trick. But so I have my Quick Parts. These are some questions I've gotten. I get asked a lot. So I post announcements for my school, and they all need specific things, and there are specific things you have to consider for ADA access. And I got tired of typing that email over and over again. So I wrote it once, and there it is. And then I can send that, and it's all professional and nice, and it has all the stuff, and I don't forget because my brain is cottage cheese right now. And if you want to add things like screenshots, you can do that too. So here's one, how to open a quiz in progress. This is a question I've gotten a lot. I already wrote this. I put in my screenshots. So when somebody writes me this, I can write them a real nice email back. I'm like, hi, Susan, thanks for the question. I'm sorry you're having trouble with your quizzes. Here's how to fix it. And they get this nice email that I only wrote once. So Quick Parts. Here's how you do that. Whoops. You write your stuff. You can add screenshots or pictures or things like that. The only thing you can't add that I wish you could was attachments. So if you use something like Office 365 or Google Drive, it's great because you can add the links, but I can't actually add I can't attach a file and have it stay with the Quick Part. When you are ready to save the information, and you don't have to save the whole email, you can save just a part of it. I'm just going to save that. You go back to your Quick Parts, either under Insert, or if you put up there like I do, you can do it there, and save it to the Quick Part gallery. This is another one where I recommend you really think about the name. So later when you're looking for this, particularly if you have the type of job where you use this a lot and might have 30 or 40 of these, name it something that's going to make sense later. Example, I'm going to call this example delete later. So I'm not like, what is this later? You can get fancy and save it in different categories. I don't usually do that, but you can create a new category. And you can insert the content only, which I usually do. You can insert it in its own paragraph. If you're frequently writing a long thing before that, just need to add this one part. And I've never tried to do it in its own page. I don't know what that would do. So I'm going to save that. It should be in there now. And it's alphabetical. Did not go there. Yep, there it is. Example, delete later. So I just highlighted here's some information. That's the only thing that goes back to it. You can highlight images as well. It's just highlight, add to Quick Parts, and then it's there forever. You can edit it later if things need to be edited. It's great. So I use it a lot for guides now in my current role. When I was an instructor, I would use it. I don't know if this is a thing here. I haven't taught at this institution, but all my students would want the syllabus early. So I had a little thing. And then I had a rule once where I had to say no to people a lot, and I hate that so much. I hate it. It's so stressful to me. Or this particular instance was, so I wrote a nice Quick Parts professional, explained why, and then I could just click and send it. And it took a lot of stress out of my day because nobody ever really freaked out about it. I don't know why that email stressed me out, but it did.
So you have a question, a couple of questions in the chat, but one was specifically asked, is this different from templates? So is quick parts different from templates, I think is what Annie is asking.
Yes, templates is different. I don't utilize those as much, but that's a similar thing. Quick parts I just like because it's right there. So templates is another thing you can use, yes. Annie, do you use templates?
I do not. I do not use quick parts either, but I am going to, they're going to change my life, I can tell.
Oh yes, quick parts are amazing, especially if you do a lot of support work.
You also had, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, is it, and were there other questions?
There was just some questions in the chat about how this looks on the Mac platform, and Kristen did a little bit of external Google on that to answer those particular questions, that this does look a little bit different on the Mac, and it seems like quick parts might not be available on the Mac platform. And then a little while ago, somebody else asked about, sorry, this was when we were talking at rules, so I'm sorry I didn't get to this one sooner, but somebody said, I'm trying to follow along with my Outlook open. It doesn't look the same. And so I'm thinking that maybe Outlook open is web-based and not desktop-based, but I'm not sure.
That would be my guess. If you entered after I was just talking at the beginning, all these tricks are from the desktop version. The web version can do some of these, but I'm just talking about from the desktop. Not all of them though, it's not quite as robust. The Mac question, I'm sorry, I've never actually used a Mac, so I don't know, but I know that sometimes there are some features that aren't as robust on one platform or another.
Sorry, yeah, the answer I found was from a Microsoft blog where somebody from Microsoft came back and said that they are not, it's not currently on their roadmap for Outlook for the Mac. So it sounds like it's still a great concept, and I used to just keep a Word document on my desktop that had those bits and pieces I would copy and paste from. I still jerry-rigged the same thing. It's a great concept.
Yeah, and there are other things you can, like other products. I used to use something called oh, I can't remember what it's called, but it was a similar concept, except it worked on everything. And there are a lot of good plugins that do similar things you might check into. But yeah, thank you, Kristen, for looking that up. I unfortunately don't know much about Mac. Did I get all the questions, Stephanie?
You did, and then there was there's two wonderful comments. One from Len, if your window is too small, quick parts disappears. You must be fully expanded to see that option. So that's a good tip.
Oh, thank you.
And then Amy writes, if quick parts isn't an option, I'm adding that, you can use the signature area as an alternative.
Oh yeah, that's a nice idea. Using signatures, that's smart. So thank you so much for that suggestion. So, all right, so quick parts, that's probably my favorite thing, especially in this line of work. Love it, changed my life, makes you look like a genius, and your spelling is always perfect, which mine is not. And you sound very professional and calm, even when you're very frazzled. So super nice. Okay, let me see, I have a whole list here. So how many of you have accidentally hit reply all and realized it as you click send, or realized as you're clicking send, oh no, I forgot to tell somebody this whole other thing? Like, I do that all the time. So something I do to kind of hedge against my own, I know what my strengths and my weaknesses are, so I try to work with them rather than try to fight them. And one thing I do is I delay every single message before as I send it. So I turn that off so I can show you how to do that. That's another rule thing. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Manage Rules and Alerts. You could probably do this to the main rule thing. It's just I've never found the setting except in this part. And I am going to do a new rule. And I'm going to apply rule on messages I send. And I'll do this one more time. And I'm not going to add anything else. I'm just going to click next. And I'm going to scroll down till I find Oh, I'm not going to scroll down. I'm just going to click next again. And it's going to say, are you sure? Because this rule will be applied to every single message you send. Is that really what you want? Yes, that's exactly what I want. And I am going to find defer delivery by number of minutes. I love this feature. Again, if I tried to click next, it would say, hey, you can't do that because a value is missing. It needs to know the number of minutes. And I only do it by 2 minutes. I wouldn't recommend doing it by like 30 minutes or anything, but I just, 2 or 3 minutes. I'll do 3 for this one. And what that will do, I can click next. I'm going to ignore everything else. Just click next. And I'm going to call this defer sending by 3 minutes. You can't really run on the inbox. They're not going anywhere. I'm going to finish that. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so now when I go to send an email, it's not actually going to send for 3 minutes. Oh, it's thinking, which is amazing when I realized I've forgotten to send something or forgotten to add somebody or accidentally added everybody or did one of those just things that happen. So do a new email. Should I be bold? I'll send it to Lauren. This is our assistant.
I'm going to say, you can make me your guinea pig.
Oh yeah, I should do that. So Lauren's not like, what if this doesn't work? Thanks, Kristen. Okay, so I'm going to send that. And now I'm going to be like, oh no, I realized I forgot to send, or I forgot to attach something, or I was supposed to add somebody else. So I'm going to look for my outbox, which is where it goes for the next 3 minutes. I need to move that higher. So outbox, it means the things that are going out from your email. So I'm gonna click on that, it's there. And to turn it off, I could just go in, never mind. I spelled that badly on purpose. Send, it will start that timer over. I'm gonna ignore that. I'm gonna have bad spelling, why not? And it's gonna sit there for 3 minutes. And actually I will let that sit and let it send to you since you'll know that. Now maybe you're not quite as clicky as me, so this isn't a problem in your life, but I appreciate having delay send so I can remember that I forgot to attach something or forgot to do that. I'm going to show you again how to do that. You go to File, you go to Manage Rules and Alerts. Hang on, I move my Zoom thing. I'm going to actually delete that rule. No. New rule, apply on all the messages I send. Ignore all that. Yes, we want it applied to everything. Ignore all that because we're not doing it on anything specific. Ignore the exceptions. Oops. And delay delivery by a number of minutes. I hope that's useful to somebody else. And Kristen, I'm just going to let that send to you, and I'll show you guys that the outbox is empty later. Questions on that?
Can you delete from that same area in the outbox? Like, oh, I just don't want to send this at all anymore. You just click the X on the far right-hand side to delete it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna delete that. I right-click there and delete it. And no, Kristen, you're not gonna get that email. So yeah, if you realize you don't need to send that at all, you can just delete it. Very easy.
I need that on my grumpy days.
That's, I was going to be nice and professional, but that's part of the reason I do it too. Sometimes you're just a little cranky, but quick parts can help with that too. So you can growl at it as you're sending the nice, polite email that you sent. Oops. But yes, delay emails. Another one you can do that I use sometimes is you can delay emails, like specific emails, not just all of them, but let's see. Hi again. Let's say I'm emailing Kristen. And it's 3:32, but I know she's moderating my session, so I don't want her to feel like she has to immediately drop everything and respond to my email, Not that she'd feel like that, but some people do, so I'm gonna make sure she doesn't. I'm going to go to, oops, my share screen thing keeps popping down. I'm going to go to options. And one of the options is delay delivery. So let's say I just want to delay this to Kristen specifically, and I can see do not deliver before a certain time or date. So I'm going to check that. I want this to send tomorrow. If you get this tomorrow, Kristen, if I forget to delete this, I hope you remember, at 9 a.m.
I would understand.
She understands. She's got me. And close, and I'm going to send that, and that's going to go to that outbox. It's not sent items, outbox. And there it is, and that's not going to send till 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I use that a lot. I use that for several reasons. I don't really like to give super instant messages because I don't want people to expect that, just because I can't always be like that. So sometimes I'll delay it just, half an hour. I mean, this is a weird trick I do. But a lot of times I'll do it for like reminders or like Lauren's birthday. Let's say Lauren's birthday is next week and I just remembered it. Sometimes I'll write her a nice birthday message and delay that to send then. Or I'll do it for things like I teach like training classes, and I know that that's going to run on Monday and they have to have their thing in by Friday. So I'll just go ahead and write the email while I'm planning it, send the delay, and then it shows at the right time. And I can not think about that anymore. I don't have to remember to send that email. I don't use this one quite as much, but it's handy. If you send a lot of reminders, it'd probably be handy for you. That's another one that I put up here because I don't like to click on options and go to delay delivery. So I added that to my quick access toolbar, and I right click that, add to quick access toolbar, and it's up there in my ribbon. So sometimes I double up, not so much in this role, but in previous roles I've held, I double up on delay delivery and quick parts because I'd have things I had to send like certain points in the semester that were always pretty much the same. So I'd create a quick part, I'd go and edit. So yeah, I'll show you this too. Let's say you need to edit something in it, you still can. So sometimes I would just highlight, add date, highlight, add whatever, and then change those things at the midpoint of the semester when I need to send this, and then delay the delivery so it went at the right time. So you look super organized, even when you're not. It goes at the right time. It's very handy. How are we doing? I'm going to delete this. Any questions on those?
There is one thing in the chat, two things. Robin said, this is great. These are great functions, thanks. And then Carrie writes, is it true that you have to be connected or logged into your network for the delayed message to be sent at the time that you select?
That is an important point. Yes, you do. You do. So if you're going to sneak off for like a week's vacation but not tell anyone, it's not going to work unless you leave your computer on. Dang it. I've heard of people using it. This isn't really something that's a problem for me, but somebody I know works all hours, just one of those jobs where you work 1 billion hours a week, and they didn't want their staff to feel like they had to answer the email at 11 p.m. when they wrote it. So they would write the email that they needed to write, and then they'd schedule it to send at 8:30 the next morning. So, they get to work and it will send because they're on and they're there, but then their staff doesn't feel pressured when they're getting email at all hours of the night. So if you're somebody who works at 2 a.m., that might be a use for that. But yes, that is an important point. For that to work, you do have to be logged on your network. Okay, let me see. Email messages, email parts, rules. So do any of you have any cool tricks that we need to know about?
You do have a quick question from Monica.
Oh, perfect. What can I help you with?
Monica, do you want to ask your question? I can unmute you.
I typed it, but my question is if you do this delay send and you're not logged on, when you log on, will it send, or does it just not send?
It will when you log on, it will send. So if you set it to send at 8 p.m. and you aren't there at 8 p.m., it's not logged on, and you log on the next morning at 7 in the morning, it will just send right then.
Okay. I kind of figured, but I figured I'd ask as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing to know. Like, you don't want something to not send that needs to be sent.
Is there any way that it marks it as a delayed send? Does the receiver ever know that you did that at 2 o'clock in the morning?
No, they don't. No, it will show the time it's sent to them.
I suppose if you did a lot of things going to the same people and they all delivered at the same time, they might see like, wow, she can answer 5 emails a minute. She's good, right?
Yeah, you can think about that. Sometimes I'm like 8:32 instead of 8:30 for sending things. I don't know how much people really look at my timestamps, but you know, that's true. They're gonna think you're an email wizard. You just got in and you sent 7 emails with your, you know, all well thought out with your quick parts. Very handy.
My favorite tip, and this is one that you talked about, is delay or turn off the desktop notifications. So the sound drives me crazy. And then forever, I just had the desktop notification on, and it shows you a receipt every time somebody sends you something. And what I found is that really pulls your attention away from what you're trying to focus on, because you now have this new thing pinging you at the bottom of your screen. And so I have turned that off and found that that makes a world of difference just in being able to efficiently focus on whatever it is I'm trying to do and actually complete whatever it is I'm writing before I move to the next thing has been really helpful just in keeping things straight and trying to feel like I'm making headway through the items that are in my inbox.
That's a really good point. There's research that says it takes about 15 minutes to get your attention fully back if you're deep thinking through something and you get distracted by something like a pop-up. And I batch process my emails, because if I answered emails as they came in, I would do nothing else. So there are just 4 specific points in the day where I specifically sit down for 15 minutes and deal with my email. And then I pretty much ignore it and do the other things I need to do during those times. And turning off the pop-ups helps me do that without feeling like, oh no. Except, you know, like I said, I do have a few specific people that I have pop-ups come up for because I need to be attentive to them.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's kind of my trick, which is not at all technological. It's more just a practice. I use a lot of rules also, but the first thing I do in the morning when I come in is not answer emails, but triage all of them, so that I look through and figure out what's really important. And, you know, if I can answer it in a minute or 2, I'll answer it right away. If it's going to take longer, I write it on my to-do list. And I practice a thing that I think, I don't think he's in this meeting, but one of our other colleagues down from Pikes Peak also uses an inbox 0. And so I triage all of my email. I flag for follow-up for today, tomorrow, this week, next week. And then I move them out of my inbox if it's been triaged or if it's been responded to. And so and then there are times if I'm working on a big project, I will close my email so that I don't get my focus pulled.
Because I'm sure the volume you're getting is substantial. So
all of us right now are support people, and everybody in the world is sure that they've got the number one most important thing. And of course their needs are important, but you triage them. It's, you know, who's bleeding and who's just really not happy right now.
Yes, that's a very good point. And Kristen probably gets a lot more email than I do, but I do a similar thing. Like first thing in the morning, I check, is there anything I have to deal with right now? What can wait? Can it wait till tomorrow? Can it wait till this afternoon? And I have a billion folders. I'm gonna actually minimize that, stop that for a minute. Email is just so much, you know, so much. And if I answered it as it came in, I would not be able to do anything else. Let me see. Now that I see the chat now, let's see. So you're using Outlook 365. No, that is unfortunately just a desktop version. As far as I know, I've never found a way to do that in 365 using the delay. So that's a bummer. That's the only other question I haven't answered that's in the chat. So any other quick tips or questions for me? We're coming towards the end of the time and I've left some time for questions. Thank you all for coming. There's so many people here. I wasn't expecting so many. I'm watching the chat. Let's see. Oh, okay. Thank you for coming, Carrie. I hope that some of these tips help you out. If you do nothing else, do quick parts if you're in any kind of support role or any kind of role where you answer the same question over and over and over.
So you have two things in the chat. Christine asks, if you create the delay in the desktop version, will it be applied when using Outlook 365?
No, you have to be logged into your desktop version to get that to go. That's one of the features that you have to, doesn't seem to go into 365. Yeah, it's total bummer. I see somebody said, can you tell when they read the message? You can set a read receipt and they can choose to answer that or not. Like it comes up in a pop-up. Let me try to remember really quick how to do that. It's not, I do so much email that I don't want read receipts, but I know that that's helpful. Let me see.
I see this come through from our fiscal department, right? They want to know that you've read the very important message they've sent you about something that you probably did incorrect on your paperwork, or we've received your paperwork, or they want to make sure that you got it.
Absolutely, and there's definitely a call for that sometimes. So let me find that really quick. You can set up read receipts. Receipt, it goes up as a pop-up, so they can say no. It doesn't necessarily. It's not like something you can necessarily force, but it's an option you can do. Okay, I'm going to share again to show you how to do that. Let me see. When you're sending the email. Okay. I gotta find I minimized my Zoom and it went somewhere. Here we go. Okay. So, everyone see the screen? I'm sending an email, right? Yes. To do that, you go to options and request delivery receipt. So that's under options in the email and request a delivery receipt or request a receipt. There's delivery receipt, which means that they got the email, and then there's read receipt. That's the one that will do a pop-up to them saying, hey, so-and-so wants to know if you read this. You want to say yes? And it will email you a read receipt if they select yes on that.
What does save sent items to? What does that do?
So I save sent items in the default folder, which is right here. It's just called sent items. But if you want to save your sent items to a special folder for a different, that you name something else, you can do that in that. It's under options, sent items to, and you can choose another folder to send that to, or create a new one. I just use the default one, but it's nice. And I do save items I send, and that's come in handy before as a default. Just because, like, I know I sent that email. Let me find it so I don't have to retype it.
One of the items on that menu that you just had up was deliver. It was like deliver replies to, or something of that nature, and direct replies to. I found this one to be really handy. Like if we're sending information out about like a training schedule, right? And maybe it's coming from me, but I'm not going to actually be the trainer, right? Like I want it to go to the person hosting the training because I don't know how to answer the specific questions people come up with, right? I've used that before, and that's really helpful because most people don't hit, like even if you ask, please hit reply all, right? If you had everybody be CC'd on the message, and things come to you. So that one has been helpful for me in the past on a couple of specific things. I always forget where it is, and I kind of have to hunt and peck in Google to figure out how to do that, but that one is useful.
So it's under options, and if you right click, you can add it to your quick access toolbar. So you never have to hunt and peck again. It'll always be there.
I like that quick access toolbar. That's smart.
Yes. Like, cause I don't remember when I figured that one out, but I used to have to hunt and peck and find for all this stuff. And then I read somewhere, oh, you could just do this. I'm like, sold. Yes. That's a great point. If you do a lot of, yeah. So I'm going to have my replies sent to Kristen, cause you know, I don't think she'll be my dress book actually. No.
Sure.
It's probably not a good one to put your boss in either, just as a, you know, it's late on a Thursday afternoon, just keep everybody out of trouble.
Yeah, so I'm not actually going to do anything, but yes, that's actually a really good tip. There's so much you can do in Outlook. I mean, there's things that you can do a lot of cool stuff. So, and since we're in it a lot for our jobs at most places, it's a good thing to learn.
Kristen, you're going to get a lot of email.
I see you threatening.
Amy Con's going to send you her email too.
Yes, but fortunately, I know how to find her.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, maybe not right now, but in a month, I will know where to find her.
Well, we are just at right around 3:50 at our stopping time, and so I want to ask if there are any last questions for Catherine. I also want to say thanks for coming to the session and all of the sessions that you may have come to today. There's a full schedule and a keynote planned for lunchtime tomorrow as well, so we hope to see you all back. And please remember to fill out your session form to give some feedback to Catherine about her session.
Thank you so very much for coming. I really appreciate all of you being here, and I hope that it was useful and your email day gets a little bit easier.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. I'm going to go ahead and sign off.
Bye, Kristen.
Okay, Kristen, enjoy all my email. If you could answer, that'd be great too. Have a good afternoon,
Now I have
everyone.
to set up a rule.